To finish off our list of measures of central tendency, which so far have included the mean, median, and mode, we'll add the fourth measure of central tendency, which is the mid-range. Now, before we define mid-range, we need to define the range. The range in a set of data, in a data set, is the difference between the highest and the lowest points. This is what we call a measure of dispersion. How is the data spread? We'll study that in more detail in section 12.3. But once we understand the range, then we can figure out another measure of central tendency called the mid-range. The mid-range then is the center of the range, and we're going to calculate it as a midpoint. So the mid-range is the highest plus the lowest divided by 2. So it's the average of the highest and the lowest data point. Now remember, the range is the difference between the highest and the lowest data point, whereas the mid-range is the average. So we're going to sum the highest and the lowest and divide by 2. So again, the mid-range is the average of the highest and lowest data point. Very simple. So let's practice. Let's find the range and mid-range, and we might as well throw the median in there for the following data set. Observe, first of all, that our data set is in order from lowest to highest. That's important for the range, mid-range, and the median. So we'll start with the range, which is a measure of dispersion or spread of the data. Remember, the range is the highest data point, 83, minus the lowest data point, 55. So it looks like the range is 28 for this data set. Now, once we know the range, we can better understand the mid-range. So for the mid-range, we're going to add the highest and lowest and then divide that by 2. So 83 plus 55 looks like it gives me 138 divided by 2, or 69. So our mid-range here is 69. Now, to help you understand what's going on here, let's look at the data on a scale. This data begins at 55, and it increases up the number line. Now, notice 67 occurs twice, so that doesn't give me another step to the right on the number line. It just repeats the frequency for that particular data point. And then we stop at 83. So the distance between the highest and the lowest here, that's what we call the range. That distance is 28. But the measure of central tendency here is 69, and notice that occurs in the very center of the range. So I'm taking the range and dividing it in 2 and locating that mid-range. It is in the middle. It is a measure of central tendency. Now let's answer the last question. We want to find the median. So notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 data points. So the position of the median is going to be in the 9 plus 1 divided by 2 position, or it looks like 5th position. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, either 5 from the bottom or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the top. We can see that the middlemost value, or the median here, is 67. Okay, back to the more problematic example. Let's see if we can find the mid-range for the list of weights in example 5. So back in example 5, we had our frequency distribution where we had the weights of college males and the frequency of those particular weights. Now we want to find the mid-range. Now remember, to find the mid-range, we're going to take the lowest data point, which is 150, and average it with the highest data point, which is 205. So 150 and 205 are the values that we need to calculate our mid-range. So the mid-range will be 150 plus 205 divided by 2. So calculating, we have 355 divided by 2, which gives us 177.5 pounds. So that's the center of the range. It takes the range and divides it in two. So the four measures of central tendency are mean, or the average, median, that's the middlemost data point, mode, the most frequently occurring data point, and the mid-range, which is right in the center of the range. Those are our four measures of central tendency.